From being a newcomer to the acting world, to being super private about his personal life. Here's everything you didn't know about Queen Charlotte's new star. Corey Milcreast, the super cool actor who plays young King George III in Queen Charlotte, has fans obsessing over him and the show, especially those who binge-watched the series like me. The show's been a massive hit, with King George winning over the hearts of millions of fans worldwide. But the most fascinating thing is how these characters are actually based on real historical people. Queen Charlotte and King George III. Corey being part of Queen Charlotte is a big deal for Bridgerton fans, since it opens up a whole new world and gives a deeper look into these awesome characters. The relationship between King George and Queen Charlotte is very romantic, and their story is even better. They face tons of challenges because of their royal duties and George's hidden illness, and the series shows how their bond evolves over time, through flash-forwards of older Charlotte and older George, including one of the most iconic scenes that had almost everyone crying. Even though they live apart later in life, Corey said their love remains strong. Another powerful scene that Corey mentioned was when George, with his moments of clarity, still saw Charlotte for who she truly is. Their physical separation somehow eases Charlotte's pain, and Corey compared it to losing a partner and the need to have time to heal and move on. But Charlotte's stuck in the past because George is still there, even if he's not fully present. While Charlotte becomes a badass ruler, she still has a soft spot for George. She effortlessly handles her power, and even sneaks under the bed to connect with him emotionally. Their relationship is complex, with George straight up forcing Charlotte to run away and not be stuck with half a husband.
You have half a husband, Charlotte. Half a life. I cannot give you the future that you deserve.
Charlotte feels moments of loneliness, but finds solace when she's around George. The show itself has won over millions of fans, and while the series may not explore their adult relationship in Bridgerton, Queen Charlotte definitely leaves room for it. I'm sure it's not just me who wants more of their story, right? Plus, Corey hadn't watched a single episode of Bridgerton before landing the role. He missed out on it, maybe because it wasn't his thing. In fact, during auditions, he was told not to watch it so he wouldn't be influenced by previous performances, but he went against their advice. When he found out he got the role of King George, it was a total shock. He got the call at midnight while he was at his girlfriend's place, sneaking around to avoid waking her up. He was in a robe, standing in the hallway, when he heard the news, and immediately felt a mix of uncertainty and excitement, not knowing what the future had in store. And you know how he celebrated the moment? By heading to the local snooker club for a game or two. That's how he marked the milestone. Once Corey got the gig, he knew he had to catch up on the series. So, with his girlfriend by his side, they went on a binge-watching spree, diving headfirst into the world of Bridgerton. And now, Corey's totally immersed in it. Looking back on the whole experience, the actor shared the anxieties he had about starting his career with such a major role. He wanted to do justice to the story, the characters, and the existing fans of Bridgerton. It was a lot to handle, both professionally and personally. But now that the series is out, Corey feels relieved and understands that he can't control how the audience reacts. Playing George, a complex and dynamic character, was a fantastic experience for him, and to prepare for the role, he did a lot of historical research. He watched documentaries, listened to podcasts, and read biographies. He also found a connection with George through the costumes. At first, he felt distant from the regal outfits, but then he realized that George himself hated being a king and always felt uncomfortable in his position, helping him understand the character better and develop a deeper bond with him. Besides doing the regular research, the star worked very hard on his physique as well. In an exclusive chat with E! News, Corey spilled the beans about his workout routine for the show. First, he lied his way out, saying that he didn't hit the gym, but India jokingly said that Corey practically lived there. Since the secret was out in the open, he decided to give the fanbase some deets, saying that if you pay close attention, You can see his physical transformation throughout the series. He pointed out that in the first intimate scene in episode 2, he was pretty slim, with hardly any fat. But in the next scene with his shirt off, he noticed a big difference and felt like a whole new person. The satisfied actor gave credit to a personal trainer hired by the production, describing the experience as the worst moment of his life, but in a good way. The workouts were intense, and he'd think he was done, only to be told it was just the warm-up halfway through. It was painful, but it paid off in the end. Corey also received some valuable acting advice from 2 other heartthrobs of Bridgerton, Regé-Jean Page and Jonathan Bailey. Page told him to focus only on what matters between action and cut, and to let go of everything else. As for Jonathan, Corey said the advice was so good that it would take forever to explain, and he praised their kindness and good looks. This kind of insane dedication to acting and perfection probably came from the time he went to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. He graduated in 2020, which was a tough time to kickstart an entertainment career. But luckily, he already had an agent before everything went into lockdown. As a student, he did a bunch of plays and honed his craft. His school has produced some big names like Anthony Hopkins and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and even Luke Thompson, who plays Benedict in Bridgerton, is also an alumni. At this very school, he met a cool teacher who's all about passion and transformation. One day, the teacher asked the class why they wanted to act. Corey and his classmates started spewing out the usual stuff, like telling stories and seeing the impact on people's faces. But the teacher didn't buy it, making Corey scratch his head, trying to figure out what the heck drives him. And then it hit him like a ton of bricks. Acting is his lifeline. It's the only thing that makes him truly feel alive, like he's really breathing. It's the reason he jumps out of bed every morning and why his heart pounds like crazy. He can't fully explain it, but deep down, he just knows he's got to do it. And you know what? That wise teacher told Corey that his answer was enough, and that he didn't need some fancy reason or explanation. Sometimes you just have to trust your gut and do what makes you feel alive. Since that mind-blowing moment, Corey's been rocking his passion for acting, and he's learned to trust his instincts and let his love for the craft guide him on this awesome creative journey. And let me tell you, he's been totally killing it ever since. Before his breakthrough role, Corey appeared in a couple of short films and had a small part on the Netflix show called The Sandman. It's impressive that just 2 years after graduating, he landed such a major role. He feels privileged to portray the complicated character of King George, who has a wide range of behaviors. It excites him as an actor, building his desire to rock his professional life. But that's just the start, because this talented guy has also been kicking it in his private life. Corey and his co-star Freddie Dennis, who played Reynolds, King George's secretary, have become such close friends that they even ended up living together after filming. Freddie mentioned a funny blooper that made it into the final episode of the show, which shows how much fun they had working together. You can see their bond both on and off screen through their Instagram pictures. Being one of the leads in the new Netflix series, he experienced a crazy response during the show's first week. The series became a massive hit, and Corey's Instagram following shot up in no time, but he still prefers to keep things private. He mostly shares behind-the-scenes stuff and funny captions related to Queen Charlotte, without spilling details about his girlfriend or family on social media. Even the news about him having a girlfriend came up during an interview, leaving his female fan base heartbroken. But they still continue to support the amazing actor that Corey really is. So there you have it. From being super private about his personal life to being a newcomer to the acting world. This was everything you didn't know about Queen Charlotte's new star.